Hello everyone, I would like to just try to demonstrate a few more little basic HTML web page creation techniques, a couple of little more ideas. So first of all, something that people often have difficulty with is the whole editing in a text editor and viewing in a browser. It takes a little while to get the hang of, but once you've got it, it's easy. It'll come naturally, just a bit of practice. Now I'm going to do my examples from now on with Notepad++, but if you're using Atom or indeed anything else, it's exactly the same. You're using a slightly different text editor, but the HTML code and everything is the exact same. So first of all, we want to find our web page, our HTML document. So mine was in my sensibly named folder, my example websites. Did I just double click that? I can't tell if it's my computer being slow or me failing to double click. I think it might be my computer being slow. I'll just pause for a moment. Oh no, here we go. So and then I'm doing my Notepad example site. So I've got a couple of sites on the go. A folder for each one is very important. Stop them getting muddled. Now, here is my home page. So this is one web page. It's called home. I can see it's an HTML document, and on my computer by default it's going to open up in the browser. So if I just double click it, it's going to open up in Chrome like this. So I try to double click it to edit it. By default my computer is set to and yours undoubtedly will be too, set to open HTML documents in a browser. So when I try to do it, it opens up here. Now that's no good if we want to edit it. So let's come out of there and go back to this. If you right click on it, then you'll get this little menu, context menu, and you can choose edit with Notepad++. And there you go. Now, another thing that Notepad++ does is if you just open up, if you just go and open up Notepad++, it will actually automatically have the tabs there that you last had open. Okay, so you can just open up Notepad++, but just be careful with that. Remember, if I remove this, so if I close this here, that's not me deleting the file. That's just me removing it from what I've got open in Notepad++. I don't have it open there anymore. Let's just come out of it. And if I go edit with Notepad++ again, it'll open it back up. So I haven't deleted it or anything crazy like that. You can also, by the way, do this. You can open up Notepad++ and you can go File and Open, and then go and find your HTML document, navigate to it, and open it that way. So there are a variety of options. Okay, I was going to demonstrate, but yeah, here we go. So I could have just opened this from here. Okay, so that's how we edit something that's existing. So it's a common thing people get a bit confused with. They go here and they double click, and it opens up in the browser, and why can't I edit it? Well, that's why you need to open it up in your text editor. Now, last time I looked at adding H1 and P tags, H1 and P elements, so a heading one. I just want to quickly talk about headings. Now, the H tags, we've got H1, and we can also use H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. It goes all the way up to H6. H1 is the most important heading, so it's a main heading. H2 is a subheading of that. H3 is a subheading of H2, and so on. Now, it can be a bit hard to get your head around, so I grabbed a quick example here. I think this demonstrates it fairly well. So I've found IMDb, which if you're not familiar with it is a great site, and The Goonies, if you're not familiar with it, shame on you. One of the great 80s movies. Anyway, here we go. Here is a page about The Goonies. Now, up at the top here, we have got a heading, The Goonies. That is what the page is about. So that, I would say, is the main heading. Okay, so that will have been created using H1 tags. And actually in Chrome, I can check this quickly. If I right click on it and inspect, then hopefully up at the side here, this works in Chrome. You can do this other ways in different browsers. oh yes, you can see right there, it is using, ignore the stuff about class stuff, it is using H1 tag. Okay, now that is the main heading for the page. I can have as many H1 elements on a page as I want. I can have as many main headings as I want. But in this case, on this page, there's just one main heading. Now, under that, we have got, well, let's have a look. We've got, I would say, this is a subheading of the Goonies. We've got videos that are to do with the Goonies. So that is a subheading of the Goonies. And again, let me just, we'll do it this way. I can see that is H2. Subheading of the Goonies. And in fact, photos, even though it's underneath videos, it's not a subheading, it's not a subcategory of videos, it's still a subheading of Goonies. And again, I'm just going to do it this way each time. I can see H2 still. So I can have as many H2s as I want. I use them as appropriate. More like this. That's another subheading of the Goonies. It's a little subsection. Cast, that's a subheading of the Goonies. These are all H2s. Okay, because they're all just parts of subcategories of this page about the Goonies. Now let's look a bit further down and see if we can find an example. Storyline, there will be another one. Meanwhile, in fact, these are probably then subheadings of storyline. So I've got storyline is an H2, just to prove it to you. There it is. And then under that, we've got plot keywords, taglines, genres. These are all subheadings of storyline. So looking at storyline, well, here's some stuff about plot keywords. Here's some stuff about taglines. Here's some stuff about the genre. Okay, they're all subheadings of that. So they'll all be done with H3. So they might have H4, H5, H6, anything that's a subheading of H2. Let me just see that. That's actually an H4. And these will be as well, okay? And then, so we've got H2, these are H4s, and then we're back to an H2, because details isn't a subheading of storyline, it's a subheading of the Goonies. So it's back to an H2. Now, let's just have a look at this. So, and I just want to prove it. So that's H2, you can see. Now, what would you say box office company credits? You can actually see, even with the font, I would say they're subheadings of the details. So I think these are probably going to be, there we go, H3. So box office is a subheading of details. Budget is an H4. It's a subheading of box office. Opening weekend, subheading of box office. Gross USA, subheading of box office. So these are all H4s, excuse me. And then company credits, that's a subheading of details. So it'll be H3. Okay? So there's this sort of hierarchy. We've got at the top, we've got the Goonies. I'm sort of gesturing wildly in the air here. You can't see, I realise. At the top, we've got the Goonies. That is the main heading, H1. Underneath that, we've got all these subcategories of the Goonies, all these subheadings. Cast, storyline, details. These are all subheadings of the Goonies, so they're all H2. Then some of these subheadings have their own subheadings, so like details, that has subheadings, so it's got box office, company credits, technical specs. They're all subheadings of details, so they're all H3. And then there are subheadings of box office. It's split up into all these. These are all H4s, same with technical specs and so on. So it's a really important concept, this, just understanding this sort of hierarchy of subheadings. H1 at the top, and we can use any of these as many times as we like within our web page. Okay, let's get back to this. That's a really important idea though. What am I doing here? I want to add a bit more to my basic web page. It's just an example web page. Let's just put in an extra paragraph here. Now you can put in whatever you like. I'm just going to demonstrate a couple of things just to show how it's done. My example website. My website will of info about my favourite movies and bands. There we go. Don't forget to close the P tag, the paragraph tag. Remember, that's really where attention to detail is important. Now, remember how we have a look at things, how we have a look at our changes. We have to save. The red icon up here means I haven't saved, so Control S is the easiest way. And then I can go to run and launch in my browser, but actually I've already got it open from earlier. So if I go to run and launch in the browser every time, then I just end up with loads of tabs, and it's actually easy to lose track of which one you're looking at. Best thing to do, remember, go to the tab where you've got it open and just reload the page. Okay? Now you might remember we tried to put things on separate lines before, and we can do that by splitting stuff up into paragraphs. But what if we don't want to have separate paragraphs? What if we just wanted to take a new line but still we're calling it the same paragraph? Well, there's an extra little tag we can use. It's the BR tag, short for break, which itself is really short for line break. It means take a new line. Now, I'm just going to stick one in here. It looks like this, BR. So less than, BR, greater than. Okay. Now this, I think we mentioned this last time, this is an empty element. That means it doesn't have an opening and a closing tag. It's just a single tag. It tells the browser, take a new line here. If you think about it, it wouldn't make sense to have this as an opening and closing. Start taking a new line and finish taking a new line. Wouldn't make much sense. This is just an instruction. Take a new line here. And as with H1 and P, we can use this as many times as we like in a page. So I'm just going to save that, Control S. I'm going to go back, and you should see at this point it should take a new line. So remember, oh, it's not working. That's because I haven't refreshed. Refresh. There we go. Takes a new line. Okay. And like I say, you can use that as much as you like. By the way, here's another useful little keyboard shortcut if you're not familiar with it. Highlight something, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. So I just take Control C and I can do Control V. Just these are the sort of things that make you look a bit more of a pro, and more importantly, they help you work faster. You get work done faster. Everyone wants to get their work done quickly. Well, these little things help. So Control C, Control V. This is completely ridiculous. I'm just going to demonstrate. See if you can predict what it's going to look like. There you go. Okay. Now I'm just going to undo that again. Nice little keyboard shortcut. Control Z. There we go. And remember, never any need to panic when things go wrong. You've always got undo there to save you. Okay, so BR tag. Now I might just put in a little comment here. Remember, so they're a bit fiddly, but it's exclamation mark dash dash. The BR tag takes a new line. So remember, and then dash dash at the end. Remember, these are just little notes to ourselves. You know, you can see they're not appearing on the web page when we look at it in the browser. They're just little notes to ourselves to remind us about things, and they're particularly important when we're just learning these things at the beginning. They'll help you remember this stuff. Okay, I think that was maybe about all I wanted to do for now. You know what, I'll try putting in I'll manage. I'm just trying to think of any sensible way in which I can put these in, but I can't. It doesn't matter. So it's a silly example. I'm going to put in a couple of subheadings. Okay. My favorite movies. Oh, now, classic error there. I did it without thinking, but I realised. There we go. I did H2 because it's a subheading of my example website. It's a part of that, a smaller section of that. And then I closed it, but with the wrong thing. So of course I can spot that if I click on H2, it's not highlighting the closing tag. Okay, so that would cause problems. There we go. Fix that. And I'll put in another paragraph. Whatever. I love 80s movies like the Goonies. There we go. And you know what? Here I'm just gonna Control C, Control V. My favorite music. See how much faster it is? Get used to doing that. I love all sorts of music. That makes me sound really dull, doesn't it? Especially hard rock. There we go. Control S. So notice H2 there, because my favorite movies is just a subsection of my example website, and that's H2 as well, because my favorite music is a subsection of my example website. A really common mistake people make is thinking this has to be H3 now, because we've had H1, H2, so this has to be H3. Well, it doesn't. Okay, and I think let's put in a little comment here. So H2 is a subheading of H1. We can go all the way up to H6. I say all the way up. You can see them appearing right here as well as soon as I type it. Okay, remember, comments doesn't matter. Typos and things, they don't matter at all. But in these tags, that's where it really matters. That's where you need attention to detail. Okay, let's have a quick look at that, check it's worked, and I think, so refresh, there we go. You can see H2 by default is just a little bit smaller than H1. Okay, I've gone on a bit longer than I meant to perhaps, but I hope that helps you understand. Go and just have a play about adding headings, adding paragraphs, mess about, use the BR tag, create a page. Okay, good luck, see ya.